Hello everyone. In this video, we shall see about the parts of IC engine in brief. So in previous video, we just saw the image of what are the parts of an IC engine and we have listed out the what are the parts. So in this video, we shall see it in a brief manner. So these are the main parts of an internal combustion engine. Because why we are telling it as internal combustion engine? Because the ignition, the combustion, it takes place inside the cylinder itself. So the first major component is cylinder, piston rings, connecting rod, crankshaft, crankcase, flywheel and the valves. So first let us see what is a cylinder. Why do we need a cylinder in an engine? So cylinder, as the name it indicates itself, it is a cylindrical shaped component in which combustion takes place. So the cylinder is usually made of grey cast iron. So we all know that if we need to withstand more temperature, we need some hard materials. So here the grey cast iron is used as a material in order to withstand high pressure and temperature generated inside the cylinder during the combustion of the fuels. And the next one is cylinder head. The top portion of the cylinder is called as the cylinder head. It is closed by a removable component. It is usually made of alloys of cast iron. The cylinder head is designed to incorporate the inlet and exhaust valve. So the top of the cylinder is called as the cylinder head and it consists of the inlet and outlet valve. And the next one is piston. It reciprocates inside the cylinder. Piston is it is also a cylindrical shaped component that fits perfectly inside the cylinder. There will be no gap between it, exactly fits inside the cylinder. The primary functions of the piston include to compress the fuel during compression stroke, to receive the force by the combustion of fuel. It acts as a supporting member and it also carries the piston ring that used during the combustion. And next one is piston rings. Piston ring, toward the top of a piston, a few grooves are provided to accommodate the piston ring. Piston ring, it is of two types. One is compression ring, the other one is oil ring. And the next component is connecting rod. So connecting rod, it connects the piston and the crankshaft. So crankshaft, it helps in rotating. So when the crankshaft rotates, the piston moves forward and back, upward and downward. It provides a reciprocating motion. And the next one is crank. Crank is a lever with one of its end is connected to the lower end of the connecting rod. So in this diagram you can see here the crank is connected to a lower end of the connecting rod and the upper portion of the connecting rod is connected to the piston. So when the piston moves, the motion is transmitted through connecting rod to the crankshaft. The next one is crankshaft. So the crankshaft transmits the power developed by engine through the flywheel, clutch and drives to the vehicle. The next one is crankcase. Crankcase, it is the lower part of the cylinder block which encloses the crankshaft and provides a reservoir for the lubricating oil. So in the crankcase only the lubricating oil is poured. And the next one is flywheel. Flywheel is a large disc or a wheel mounted on the crankshaft. And the last one is valves. So there are two valves in a cylinder. One is the inlet valve, the other one is the exhaust valve. Fresh air or a fuel is fed inside the inlet valve while the burnt gases are sent out through the exhaust valve. So this is about the components of a IC engines. The next one is terminologies, the terms used in an IC engine. The first one is top dead center. So top dead center is to the maximum height which a piston can reach in the near the cylinder head. So the topmost one is called as the top dead center and the bottom center is below which a piston cannot move. So that is called as a bottom dead center, and the distance between the top dead center and the bottom dead center is called as a stroke. And the next one is clearance volume. So above the top dead center and below the cylinder head, the area which is used for the combustion of fuel, it is called as clearance volume. And the next one is compression ratio. Compression ratio is nothing but it is the addition of clearance volume and stroke volume. And the next one is piston speed. So piston speed is, it is calculated with the formula 2ln, where L is nothing but the length of the stroke length, and N is nothing but the engine speed in revolutions per minute, RPM. So this is about the terminologies used in an IC engine.